My dear friends, before we begin today, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could genuinely affect your Centrelink payments in ways you might not expect. Thousands of Australian seniors are waking up today completely unaware of something urgent that's unfolding, and I don't want you to be one of them. So please, stay with me until the very end of this video, because by the time we finish our conversation today, you'll have the clarity and confidence you need to protect yourself and your loved ones during this critical time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Centrelink Alert, the channel that exists purely to keep you informed, supported, and never left behind when it comes to the payments and benefits you've earned through a lifetime of hard work. If you're new here, I want you to know that this isn't just another YouTube channel that reads government announcements in a cold, robotic voice. No, this is a place where we sit down together like family, where we talk about the things that matter to your daily life, your finances, your peace of mind, and your dignity as an older Australian who deserves respect and clear information. Today's update is one of those moments where I wish I could sit across the table from each one of you, hold your hand, and walk through everything slowly and gently. The news that has emerged over the last 24 hours has created waves of confusion, concern, and questions among pensioners across the country. Phone lines have been busy, community centers have been flooded with worried seniors, and online forums are filled with people asking the same question over and over again: what does this actually mean for me? That's exactly what we're going to answer together today. And I promise you, by the end of this conversation, the fog will lift and everything will make sense. Now, I know some of you might be feeling that familiar tightness in your chest when you hear words like urgent or alert or deadline. I know, because many of you have written to me sharing your stories about how stressful it can be when Centrelink makes announcements that seem to require quick action. You've told me about letters that arrived too late, about information that felt too complicated, about feeling overwhelmed by a system that sometimes seems designed to confuse rather than help. I hear you, I understand you, and that's precisely why I create these videos in the way that I do. You will never be rushed here. You will never be spoken down to here. You will always be treated with the warmth, patience, and respect you deserve. Let me be very direct with you about what's happening right now. Centrelink has initiated what's being called a verification and update period, and this period is unusually compressed into a 72-hour window. Now, when I say 72 hours, I don't mean that your payments will stop in 3 days or that something terrible will happen if you don't act immediately. What I mean is that over the next 3 days, Centrelink will be conducting a focused review process that affects certain groups of pensioners. And being aware of this process, understanding what it means, and knowing what to watch for could make a significant difference in how smoothly your payments continue in the coming weeks and months. This isn't the kind of review where they're looking to cut people off or create problems. In fact, the opposite is often true. These verification periods are designed to ensure that every single pensioner is receiving exactly what they're entitled to, no more and no less. Sometimes that means catching errors that have resulted in underpayments. Sometimes it means updating information that's become outdated. Sometimes it means preparing the system for new support measures that might be coming down the pipeline. And yes, sometimes it's simply about making sure the government's records match your current circumstances, so that when cost of living pressures are addressed through additional payments or supplements, those benefits can flow to you without unnecessary delays. Think about it this way. Imagine if the government wanted to provide additional support to seniors in response to rising electricity costs, increasing grocery prices, or higher rental expenses. Before they can do that effectively, they need to know that their database is accurate. They need to confirm that the bank account they have on file is still active. They need to verify that your living arrangements haven't changed in ways that might affect your payment rate. They need to ensure that if you've had small changes in employment income or investment returns, those changes are reflected properly. This verification process isn't about taking things away from you. It's about making sure the pathway is clear for any support that might be heading your way. Now, let me address something that I know weighs heavily on many of your hearts. The cost of living situation in Australia right now is genuinely difficult for people on fixed incomes. Every time you go to the supermarket, you see prices that shock you. Every time you open an electricity bill, you feel that sinking feeling in your stomach. Every time rent is due or mortgage payments are processed, you're doing mental calculations about what you'll have to cut back on just to make it through the fortnight. I know this because the comments section of this channel is filled with heartbreaking stories from beautiful people who've worked their entire lives, contributed to this country, raised families, paid taxes, and now find themselves choosing between heating their homes and buying fresh vegetables. You shouldn't have to live like that. Nobody should, but especially not the generation that built this nation. And I believe that's why we're seeing more urgency from government departments right now. There's growing awareness, growing political pressure, and growing community demand for meaningful action to help Australian seniors weather these economic storms. When I talk about this 72-hour alert being potentially linked to upcoming support measures, I'm not making wild guesses or spreading rumors. I'm connecting the dots based on patterns we've seen before, based on the timing of these reviews, and based on statements from various government sources about their intentions to provide additional cost of living relief. But here's the critical part, and please listen carefully because this is where preparation becomes so important. If new support measures are announced, if additional payments are authorized, if supplements are adjusted or expanded, the government will use their existing database to determine who gets what and when. If your information in that database is outdated, incorrect, or flagged for review, you might experience delays in receiving benefits you're entitled to. You might miss out on the first round of payments while your details are being verified. You might face unnecessary stress trying to fix problems that could have been avoided if you'd stayed alert during this verification window. So what does staying alert actually mean in practical terms? Let me break this down into simple, actionable steps that anyone can follow regardless of their comfort level with technology or bureaucracy. First, and most importantly, check your physical mailbox every single day for the next week. I know that might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people have told me they only check their mail once or twice a week, and by the time they see an important letter from Centrelink, the response deadline has already passed. Make it a daily routine, even if it means asking a neighbor or family member to help you. Every piece of mail from Centrelink during this period should be opened immediately and read carefully. Second, if you have a MyGov account and you're comfortable using computers or smartphones, log into your Centrelink online services at least once during these 3 days. Look for any messages, notifications, or action items that might be waiting for you. Sometimes Centrelink will send a letter and an online notification, but the online notification arrives faster. If you see anything that asks you to confirm information, provide documentation, or respond to a question, treat it as a priority. Don't assume someone will follow up with you later or that it's not really important. Während der Verifizierungsperioden wie dieser zählen zeitnahe Antworten. Third, make sure the contact information Centrelink has for you is accurate. If you've changed your phone number in the last year and haven't updated Centrelink, now would be an excellent time to do that. If you've moved addresses, even temporarily to stay with family, and you haven't notified them, that could cause problems. If your bank account has changed because your old bank closed a branch or you switched to a different institution, Centrelink needs to know. These might seem like small details, but they become enormous problems when payments are being processed and the information doesn't match. Fourth, if you're part of a couple and you both receive payments, make sure you're both checking your individual accounts and mail. Sometimes couples assume that if one person hasn't received any notices, the other person won't either. That's not always true. Centrelink treats each person's file somewhat independently, so both partners need to stay alert. Similarly, If you're caring for someone who receives Centerlink payments, whether that's a spouse, a parent, or another loved one, extend this vigilance to their accounts as well. Many seniors have told me that their adult children or caregivers were the ones who caught important notices that might otherwise have been missed. Now, I want to talk about the emotional side of all this, because I know numbers and procedures and deadlines don't exist in a vacuum. They affect real people with real feelings, real anxieties, and real struggles. Many of you watching this video right now might be feeling overwhelmed. You might be feeling that familiar sense of dread that comes whenever government departments enter your life. You might be feeling tired, not just physically, but emotionally tired of having to constantly stay on top of things, constantly worry about whether you've done everything right, constantly feel like you're one mistake away from losing the financial support you depend on. I want you to know that those feelings are completely valid and completely understandable. The system can be exhausting to navigate, especially when you're already dealing with health challenges, mobility limitations, grief, loneliness, or any of the other burdens that often come with aging. But here's what I need you to hear and really take into your heart. Being informed doesn't have to mean being stressed. Understanding what's happening doesn't have to trigger panic. Knowledge is actually the antidote to anxiety, because when you know what to expect, when you know what to watch for, when you know what steps to take, you move from a place of helpless worry to a place of prepared confidence. That's the whole purpose of this channel and this video. I'm not here to scare you with dramatic headlines or vague warnings. I'm here to walk beside you, to translate the complicated into the simple, to take the overwhelming and break it down into manageable pieces. You're not facing this alone. Every person watching this video right now is part of a community of Australian seniors who support each other, who share information, who look out for one another. And I'm honored to be a small part of that community, to serve as a voice that speaks to you with respect, patience, and genuine care. As we move toward wrapping up our conversation today, I want to emphasize once more that this 72-hour alert is fundamentally about preparation and protection, not punishment or problems. It's about making sure the system works for you the way it's supposed to work. It's about clearing the pathway for potential support measures that could genuinely help ease the financial pressure you're under. It's about ensuring that when relief comes, and I truly believe it will come in some form, you'll be first in line to receive it without delays, without complications, without unnecessary stress. So here's what I want you to do after you finish watching this video. Take a deep breath and let yourself feel calm, because you now know more than most people about what's happening and why. Check your mail today and every day this week, even if you don't usually check it daily. If you have online access to your Centerlink account, log in and look for any messages or notifications. Make sure your contact information is current and accurate. And if you receive any communication from Centerlink during this period, read it carefully and respond promptly if a response is requested. These simple steps will keep you protected and prepared no matter what comes next. Before I let you go, I want to take just a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for trusting me with your time, and for allowing me to be part of your journey through these sometimes complicated systems. If this video has helped you in any way, if it's brought you clarity or peace or understanding, I would be so grateful if you would click that like button below, because it tells YouTube that this content matters and helps us reach even more seniors who need this information. And if you haven't already subscribed to Centerlink Alert, please do that right now by clicking the subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss an important update that could affect your payments or benefits. Remember, my dear friends, you have worked your entire lives. You have contributed to this country in countless ways. You have raised families, built communities, paid taxes, and earned your place in society. You deserve to live with dignity, security, and peace. You deserve to have someone explain things to you clearly without jargon or condescension. You deserve to be treated like the valuable human beings you are. That's what we do here at Centerlink Alert, and that's what we'll continue doing every single day. Stay safe, stay informed, stay strong, and remember that no matter what changes come, you will never face them alone. I'll be right here with you, bringing you the latest updates, the clearest explanations, and the warmest support. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. This is Centerlink Alert, and I'll see you very soon.